Yes, guys, it is episode 13 of Bikini Insider with IFBB Pros, Kerry Sexton, and Marnie. I still say IFBB Pros because I know Marnie's retired, but you're going to keep that IFBB Pro
Oh,
status for
I'm so
good.
pro.
Yeah, you have to keep renewing that membership. Um, Guys, just please remember as well, drop a comment below. Let me know if you guys got any shows coming up, if you think we should be covering yourself, because the UK scene is buzzing, but not just UK, but internationally. So any shows, drop a comment below. And like I said before in every episode, drop subscribe. It means everything, it costs you nothing. So please do. Kerry, another week. I believe it's now 28 weeks until
Yes,
the Olympia. What's
I
new?
believe so. 22 and a half weeks out from show number one, may I add? So that's obviously
Do I
before
start calculating what show that's going to be?
the Olympia, which is really exciting. But yeah, this week's just been pretty a normal week. No injuries.
Yay.
Put it out there. And yeah, just cracking on really, just making the most of like the last sort of phase, I guess. I've got like a couple of weeks left of digging into this diet that I'm currently on, which we're going to make a few changes, I think, on Friday. And then I'm meant to be pushing back up again for, I think it's like 4 or 5 weeks, and then coming back down. But when I say push up, it's literally only going to be, I believe, back to maintenance. So yeah, like I say, we're really not that far off. I think it does give me a runway of like, I don't know, 14-week prep, I think. Um, but yeah, it's more than enough time. I think if you'd set, if like, I don't know, if you put it out there like, oh, the Olympia's in 10 weeks, I could be ready, you know? So we are in a good place, and it's paid off being like as dedicated as possible throughout the off season. So yeah, I'm happy to be fair with where everything's currently at.
Wait, is it so? Wait, how many weeks out is Olympia?
It is 2028.
Oh, it is
28, I
28.
think. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
it's 28 and then 22, like, yeah, 28 and a bit, maybe, I think now. Yeah, that is right.
And I know you mentioned before in previous episodes, what point are you going to start looking at accommodation and flights?
We're so bad. Like, honestly, we're so bad. It's like, it's just not really like at the top of my, it's not at the top of
Will
the
you
list.
be staying at Resort World where the Olympia is taking place?
I'm not actually sure yet. Honestly, we're not sure. I'm that type of person. I've always been
Before,
like
Kerry?
it.
Have you
Huh?
have you been to Vegas before?
Have I been to Vegas
Like,
before?
have you been to the Olympia at all yet?
No,
Oh,
no, no.
oh my God. Oh, I'm so excited for you.
So yeah, I've been to Vegas, but just not
Not
like.
the Olympia, yeah.
But yeah, no, I said that I would never go to the Olympia, and so did actually Mark has been, to be fair, but we
Okay.
haven't gone like on purpose until like we're qualified. That's always been my thing. I'm not going to the Olympia until I'm Olympia qualified. So obviously, yeah, here we are, and now we just need Mark to be Olympia qualified as well alongside me. But yeah, no, I'm not one of them people that like panics about booking everything. I know exactly what shows I'm doing, but I just won't book it until in a bit.
Marnie, how do I say this one? You've had obviously a bit more of a difficult time over the
Oh,
past couple of
yeah.
weeks. I didn't want to say anything last week because it was still fresh. And look, I've got my dog right next to me, and I keep saying to her, "You're gonna live forever. You're gonna outlive me."
Oh.
How's obviously everything been with yourself? Because I know it's been a difficult time.
Yeah, it's been like I think just a lot of endings to process at once, really. I mean, calling my retirement, I was kind of processing it before it happened. And to be honest, I could say the same thing about losing Bella. So for anyone that doesn't know, my Chihuahua that I've had for 12 years, we had to put her to sleep last week or 2 weeks ago, I think it was. Um, she was just getting old. She got really old, and you know how it is, like they get a lot of health problems, and I guess like that's the price that we pay when we have a little furry companion is like they're just not gonna be here for as long as we are, and it's heartbreaking. But I had like I would say a bit of anticipatory grief over it. maybe to be honest, like last year when I was like kind of competing or like after my season had finished, I think when I started like auditing my life, I was thinking about that and thinking about loads of other things as well because I knew that the time was coming. But obviously nothing quite prepares you for it. And yeah, I mean, I gave myself a good few days to just bawl my eyes out, but I'm okay. Like it's part of life, you know, and I mean, she was there right the way through my whole bodybuilding career as well, like before I even started competing, which is crazy when I look back. Um, but now, obviously, looking back at the fact that I was going to compete this year and I was going to do the Wombo Pro show, like I've actually experienced like grief and loss in a prep before with a family member. And I think at the time, uh, maybe other people can relate to this prep kind of numbs it out a bit because you just focus on the show and it gives you like maybe a stronger why or you get even more motivated to like get to the finish line. So I've kind of been through that before, but I think now I'm in a season of just allowing myself to process things as they're happening rather than using competing as a plaster or like, you know, a blanket to just cover it up and deal with it later. So yeah, like I've worked through that now, you know, and I guess now like I let myself feel all the emotions over it, but my girls are keeping me so busy at the moment with posing. Like I did a workshop the weekend actually that we lost Bella. I had already had this in the diary and the girls really helped take my mind off it. I was like full-blown stage mom vibes with my little mock show day that I did, which was really good fun. And I'm actually doing another workshop. At the end of April, I've been invited to Muscleworks Orpington, which I'm really excited about because I've never been before. Funnily enough, Jay Cutler's going to be there the week before me, because I think
Excellent.
he's doing a seminar just after FIBO. So yeah, there's a free workshop for anyone that's interested that might be in London. I am going to be covering bikini, fit model, and wellness. I don't think we've had a fit model workshop in the UK yet this year,
Don't believe so, no.
so it might
No.
actually be the first one. So yeah, I think you just have to pay for a day pass if you're not a member of the gym, but the actual posing workshop is free. So I've just like my diary's starting to get really full of like all different kinds of things, like stuff outside of bodybuilding, stuff in bodybuilding. So yeah, it's nice to have that and not just be in a bit of a lull, you know, post-retirement. So yeah.
Still very much involved.
Oh yeah, you guys
He'll
aren't
always be
connecting with me
involved.
anytime
Yeah.
soon.
Are you any of you guys going to like the pro show? Are you still gonna go?
Molly, I
Yeah.
know you said you're going. I want to
I was
go.
gonna surprise my girls. I was gonna just rock up and surprise them, but you've called me out now, so yeah, we'll be there.
Oh, there you go. I'm
See.
um I'm thinking about going. I've also been asked about FIBO next weekend. There's a sponsor out there who's messaged me. So are you going to be out there? I said, look, I'll only go if I got a media pass. They've got some media passes. So I made a conversation
Oh,
with them that I'll only go if I've got a media pass. I'm not
Yeah.
going for any other reason.
Oh,
Um,
that's cool.
but yeah, we'll see what happens there. But look, so today we do not have a guest, but we got guests over the next 3 weeks. So just go give a guys give it a heads up. We got Sean Ellis, IP Pro, competing this weekend in Taiwan. Last time she came second. This time she's aiming to get first, but of course she's kept everything very down low. The week after, we've got Ariana, who is obviously headed to Pittsburgh, and then we got Amy, who's headed over to Pittsburgh as well. But today's more about this coming weekend. It is NPC season kicks off in the UK, and it's going to kick off in a big way because only a couple of weeks later we've got the first pro qualifier of the year, awarding FIBO Pro Card as a pro bikini lineup. But before I just jump in this, I want to throw this question to you guys. So you probably saw last week there was a whole controversy around Tim Wilkins' comments about Sam
Oh,
Sulek on Olympia TV,
yeah.
saying that he is a garbage influencer. Now, he's a Sam has amassed millions of followers, very much probably targeted our male audience. But what I want to throw to you girls, and I remember AJ Kelly did a post about this about a month ago, asking about there's a lack of content going out from maybe some of the pro bikini girls on a higher level. As they get towards a show, we always see it very much male dominated. But I want to throw it to you girls to ask who is like the leader in IFBB when it comes to content creation. If we look on a YouTube aspect, that maybe girls who are competing they should pay attention to, they should follow because of the caliber of the content they're putting out. I've talked about Sam Sulek, who's now IB Pro. We know Chris Bumstead, and we know there's countless, so many in the UK scene. But on the female scene, who is it? Who is that pioneer for the NPC IFBB who's really flying a flag?
Honestly, the first person that comes to mind for me is Ashley Kay, to be honest, because
Uh,
I'm trying to think like in terms of podcasts and like consistency and stuff. I mean, I watch like her Bikini in the Brain all the time. She does a lot of like I would say useful videos like where they talk about really important topics in competing and it's not just about her journey specifically, but she also does have videos for that too. Um
I'm just on the YouTube channel, so I know on a podcast point of view,
yeah.
very out
Yeah.
there, but on the YouTube point of view, did a video 12 days ago, and before that, it was a year ago.
Yeah, she has had a bit of a hiatus on like those kinds. I suppose it depends what you mean in terms of like, do you mean like kind of documenting their journey or do you mean podcast and stuff?
I probably more looking on the YouTube aspect. If we look at a lot of people, that's the one where people choose to monetize, and there's a lot of the big names on the men's side do have a YouTube channel. If you go to any big name, they have a channel, and they're constantly posted maybe every week. But on the female aspect, I've
True.
always felt it's been very quiet and something that's not made the most of.
So
Um, why is that?
I think right so I was consistent on
Yeah, you
prep and then and I'm usually consistent just like all the time. I don't know why this year, like post show, my last video was like the wrap up, I believe, and then like the injury and everything happened. And I just wasn't in the right like headspace to be there. And I've made a promise to myself that I'm getting back to it next month. Because yeah, I'm someone that like I did like vlogs while I was in the States, stuff like that. Um, Tried to do at least like two a month, which isn't like much as what you're saying. Like some people are literally pumping them out. But it's quite hard, especially when you're like
yeah.
traveling around and stuff. It's something
Well,
that I want to be better at, to be honest.
I don't have many videos on my channel either. They're all like show day videos really, but I totally could echo what Carrie said there. Like, I don't know what it is, and I know it sounds stupid because people are interested in like the monotonous, mundane, like, oh, this is my pre-workout, I'm going to train glutes, blah blah blah. But I just feel like my life when I was in prep was so unbelievably boring because every day is exactly the same. So for me, I mean, the videos for me that of my season last year, and then the Ben Weeder YouTube video, I always talk about it. That is what made my channel blow up. I went from like 300 subscribers, and I'm now at 1.5K just from that one video.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah,
I can't say anything on
it's
Sam Sulek, but
basically
that's like,
it's consistency and it's something
yeah,
that like I swore because I started doing it on like throughout the off season through to prep some of the shows and then I kind of like swore that I would keep it up but I didn't, so it's one of those things. But I guess like does Laurelie do I'll be honest, I don't really watch that much YouTube
I
to be
do.
honest.
But
I really should, but I just feel like I just don't have the time in the
I
day to do that.
since I've retired, I mean, I do still watch a lot of the girls, from the pro league, but I just watch a lot of like self-development and like therapy stuff like I've already talked about my Mel Robbins era, but I love stuff like that because I think when you hear like even people like Chris Williamson, he's interviewed people like Seaborn or whatever, it's so interesting when you hear that. But again, a lot of it is like male dominated. So
Yep.
I tell you who I really love though, Missy Truscott. Her
Yep.
YouTube's brilliant. Like she is consistent and they are like long videos as well. It's not just like a quick 10 minutes. It's she's taking you through like our entire day, like the whole week, whether she's in prep, whether she's in off season. And I know she's not obviously a bikini athlete, but yeah, I find her videos great. And I also used to watch, I don't know if you remember Lauren Dannon Miller, but big fan of her. She used to be very consistent as well. Like
Is she
similar
anymore?
what with YouTube, no, she's disappeared as well. But I used to love watching her videos because again, it was just kind of like day in the life, in prep, in off season, show day videos.
Phoebe Hagen used to be quite on it.
Yeah, she's
Mm.
another one.
Or obviously she's, I don't know what she's doing, like I think High Rocks or something.
Yeah,
But
she's got
I
one coming up.
believe she is still using her YouTube channel. But from yeah, from a bikini standpoint, I guess there is no one really being consistent with putting YouTube out like there is across like men's open and like across all like I know Meg and Cuba are consistent with theirs. So yeah, you've just definitely made me think.
Is it? I mean, is there an element because you guys is there an element where maybe on the female side, away from competing, that there's perception you perceive that oh my life's boring, so why put it out? Or maybe is there a fragile side of like putting something out when you are in your off season when realistically what people are looking for is they follow that individual person rather
Yeah.
than the end goal of your journey. They want to know what everything that's going on, and that's how the following is built. I just feel there's a gap in the market really for someone on the female side to really take YouTube, and it doesn't always have to be training. If you look at Samsung's videos, I'm not saying like, well, there is a model that works. He a part of it's training, but then the other part is actually just talking about
Mm.
mindset and giving an insight of maybe an obstacle he's had to overcome. And I've always felt that even when I'm trying to get content out on the female side, it's so difficult to find that piece of content because nobody's putting anything out, whether it's to do an after
Yeah.
the show or what's coming up. Men's side is so easy. Females always been very difficult.
Yeah, I think it's like a time, consistency, discipline thing, if I'm
Yeah.
honest. Because you have to be disciplined for it. You have to like want to do it. Um, and it's time consuming if you're editing your
Yeah.
own videos, or it's expensive if you're paying someone to do it. So they're the kind of rejections, so to speak, that I can think of as to why like I've not been that consistent, for example, as well. Just a few of those things. Like sometimes I get up and I'll be like, right, yeah, today's the day. And then like I just get stuck into my work and then I've eaten the meal that I was going to record. And then I'm like, oh, tomorrow. And it never really happens. I've been trying to think of recently myself, like, right, okay, I need to do YouTube. I need to come back. Right, I'm going to go and see Meg, and that's going to be my first one. I've not yet seen Meg. And like each week something keeps coming up, and I'm like, yeah, you just need to like put it out there. And then once one comes out, more comes out. But that is my aim to be consistent on YouTube. So you've definitely made me think though, because you are right. There are people that do post like odd videos here and there. But yeah, I guess there is no real consistency. I
It
guess.
could be, I think as well, maybe another element would be that you've got to be, not that we aren't business minded, but I think people give effort to where they want to see a return, an
Yeah.
ROI. Do you know what I mean? So like that energy that's spent on YouTube, I think for a lot of people, men and women, I suppose, depending on who it is, they would probably see that energy better spent on the prep itself or like on do you know what I mean? Like, because they're so focused on like that. And it's not that you can't do both, but like something's got to give. I mean, when I was, I would always, yeah, like I would always make an effort to take my camera whenever I go to the States. But then when it comes to actually editing afterwards, like I didn't put my American show day videos up till like 2 months after.
I
Because
think
I'm
it's
getting
very
back,
much
I'm
the
jet lagged,
person.
I'm still in prep. I'm kind of seeing to my clients that's like my priority. And then like when you get the downtime and you've got that brain fog, the last thing that you want to do is sit at your computer and like chop your clips up and like
Do you
yeah,
know, I always, so like the way I see it as well is like, I know there's like another level. So you see someone like Meg, for example, yeah, managing business, gyms, Cuba, prep clients. She films sometimes with a videographer, but she vlogs most of it. She vlogged my show. She was unwell. She edited it. She did it. I think there's like a next level person, if I'm honest. And like, um, I'm that way when it comes to certain things. I and this is where I'm being like honest with myself here, if I'm like completely honest. Like prep, um, doing like I don't know, even stupid stuff like having like my nap each day. That is time in my day which I could be editing, but I'm not because I'm prioritizing that. I'm prioritizing different things over that. And like I don't know, I always look at like I know she's my coach, but I always look at her for that next level motivation because I know she's managing so much more and it can be done. It is the type of not type of person you are because we can all develop ourselves into that kind of person, but we need to want to develop ourselves into that kind of person and do it all, whether we're in Dubai, in the States, in here or whatever, because you look at people like Meg and Cuba and they're there doing it. And I'm sure probably Phoebe Hagen's probably very much the same. Her content seems pretty like that as well. And I just think sometimes
you've got to have the mental capacity for it, and some people just don't
and it's
like, and
but
that's
that's why some people are up here and some people aren't, if I'm honest,
that
you know?
would be, I think, for a lot of people, that's where you would hit a breaking point of burnout, though, as well. Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly.
It's
Yes,
one of
really
those.
person dependent. You've probably got Mr.
Everybody's got their
Prescott
own
who's
thresholds.
probably
Yeah.
like, well, but again, like I know, I guess you sometimes see like the most high performing athletes being able to put that into the rest of their life,
Yeah,
do
definitely.
everything.
I think that's where, again, you've got like, I posted a story. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I wrote like a big thing the other day, just saying like to fulfill your potential, because your truest potential for each person that's listening is going to look different. Everybody's idea of success is going to look different. But in order to get to that point for you, that might be a different threshold to someone else, but it requires you to be honest with yourself. You
Absolutely.
know, sometimes you don't until you try something, but you don't really know, like, if you have fulfilled your potential unless you've tried to push yourself to that point. You
Mhm.
might push yourself to doing the YouTube, doing the prep, doing this, doing that. And you might find that it is actually too much, and then you start to actually get a net loss
Yeah,
rather than a net gain.
yeah.
But unless you try it, you'll almost, I guess, you'll always question what you were truly capable of. And I think even just to relate it back to retirement and stuff for myself, I think that's why I'm able to step away like with my head held high because I remember Suki, you asked me a few weeks back, do you think that you hit your ceiling or whatever? And to me, the answer is yes, because like I had my own threshold or whatever that I didn't want to go past or whatever, and like I gave 110% to it whilst I was doing it, but like now I know that anything beyond that, it doesn't align anymore. Do you
Mm.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I know that if I had continued, I would have ended up with a net loss and a net loss in terms of what else I can take from the sport or get out of self-improvement from the sport. Do you get what I mean? It's hard to articulate it, but I hit like my ceiling of what I could do with that. But I
hmm
think now that I've retired, now that you've been saying this, I mean, I know I won't fall into the bracket of like vlogging a prep, but maybe I should be vlogging my retirement. I don't know. There's a gap there because I tell you what, when I was looking for videos, I was on YouTube, IFBB
That,
Bikini
yeah.
Pro Retirement, crickets. Maybe
yeah.
we've both spotted a gap here, Kerry.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. The thing is, I don't know about you, but I kind of like audit my life in a way. I've had a few meetings recently to try and push me to the next level because I know that bodybuilding is easy for me. This is a lifestyle. I've like developed myself so much that nothing is missed. It's all done. I prioritize it. It is what it is. But for me, I am trying to, and we have some exciting things going on. We're building our own brand, which is something I'll speak about at some point. And we're launching that soon, but also like this is me and Mark, to be honest, together. We just know that we've got more on the level of things like YouTube, our clothing brand, our personal like coaching businesses. So we've been doing stuff to try and better that because we're at a point of bodybuilding where it's life, like lifestyle. Like to us, it is literally lifestyle. And it's kind of like, okay, how else, how can we take that same dedication, commitment and discipline and pour it into other stuff like we do with our coaching, but how can we pour it into other stuff for the future as well and not just coaching? Because at the minute it's coaching and bodybuilding non-negotiables. But what else can we do? Because we know you can build. We've built the discipline, we've got it, but how you do anything is how you do everything. If we can pour that same mindset and we're good high level athletes, why can't we be good at YouTube and our clothing brand and stuff like that? So I kind of like have audited myself and I know that like there is more there's more to give personally, and that's what like I'm currently working on. To be fair, because I do want to be like my idea of success is to have like quite similar to like Meg and have all of these things like ticking. Like I've got one property already, I want another, and like just kind of that. I just feel like I've got an itch that I just want to do
Yes.
things that you're saying are missing, basically. So.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing more about this Kerry and Mark brand in the future.
Yeah, me
When
too. It will be
I
a few weeks, probably around mid-April, actually. We're going to make our first.
There we
Yeah,
go.
it's a clothing
Um,
brand.
well, look,
I
we'll
already
definitely touch
know.
on that in a couple of weeks. But something that is coming sooner is UK NPC 2 Bro Season kicks off this weekend. Only be 2 weeks later when IP Pro cards are then awarded in the UK to the first bikini competitor, fit model, figure, blah blah blah. The list goes on and on. But anyway, look, the season's about to kick off this weekend. Two Bros have got loads of shows in the UK, and then of course, as we know, when you do your regional, they'll go to the pro qualifiers. And those shows are happening all over the world as always. They're getting bigger, grander, and there's more opportunity for UK competitors than ever before. It's a great time to be a UK bodybuilder, bikini competitor, whichever division you are competing in, especially with the introduction of Fit Model. So I'm keen to let's grab some advice for those competitors who are on their journey to compete with NPC. Maybe it's their first time. Maybe they're pushing for the IFBB Pro Card. We know you two being very successful in achieving that and going beyond that. But of course, IFBB Pro Card is very much that carrot that everyone's after. So we don't want to share advice like, oh, enjoy the day and don't forget this, don't forget that. We're looking for the key things that could really change somebody's experience that you guys that's helped you guys enjoy the moment, enjoy the day, but also maybe elevate that overall experience, whether it's on stage or backstage.
Yeah.
So,
So
Kerry, you're about to say something. I'll throw it to you
yeah,
first.
I want to say, do not let one show define you. Okay. So like take my season last year. My first show started at 8th, 12th, third, second. Like, don't let one show define you. I think, and I always like to tell my clients this, pick 2 to 3 shows. Just because there's always something you can improve on. If you turn up to that one show, like imagine if I turned up to that show and was like, right, I've come 8th. I turned up to the second one, came 12th, and then was like, yeah, right. So clearly, like, none of this is for me. I would have never got this. Like, I would have never got this. So I think throw yourself in. Like throw yourself into a few shows just to get different feedback from different people, and don't let like the results of one show that maybe didn't go to plan, don't carry that into the nets. Go in fresh and ready to get after it each time. Don't let like the results from any other show put you off. And in the same breath, if it's a win, no show defines you. So in the same breath, like don't expect just because you've won a show to then go on and win like an overall, because the way this is, you have to be thick-skinned, because from week to week, shows and results like they change in such a way that you would just never really believe. And as an amateur, I think you have the top level amateurs that win, 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 win. I was one of them. And then when you do eventually reach your dream of achieving your IFBB Pro status, if that's your dream, like be prepared, because the losses are going to strengthen you so much, because we all lose. Yeah.
Marnie, your turn. What have you got?
God, my brain's spinning right now. I was like, oop, there's a point. Oop, there's a point. Oh, there's so many I could say. I totally agree with everything Kerry just said, firstly, as well. I think maybe something a bit more practical that people can actually like implement on the day. Don't throw a Hail Mary before a show. And what I mean by that is stick to your guns, stick to your support network. Whoever is in your circle and corner right now is there for a reason. And I think oftentimes, well, our judgment can be very, very clouded when we are in that, okay, show days around the corner, or maybe the season has started if anybody watches this after the fact. And I think it can be very easy to listen to the noise on socials, or I don't know, other people that are at the show, people backstage. It's very easy to like get swept up in the atmosphere as well when you're backstage, and maybe lose a little bit of focus if you've got the nerves or whatever. And I see this a lot when I go watch shows. Like I've even had girls that have posed with me in the past, right? And I'll be there watching and supporting in the audience, and we go through their cues a million times over. It's been drilled, it's been perfected. It's like, right, all you got to do is just get up there and replicate everything from head to toe that we practice. And what happens? They get swept up backstage, they lose that little bit of focus, and everything just goes out the window as soon as that heel hits the stage. And I think as well, like that's going to also impact not only potentially your placing, but like how you feel about your own performance as well on the day. Because how many times have we all been on stage and been like, damn, I've messed up my posing, damn, damn, damn. And like, even if you do place well, that will taint your memory of the show, I think. I don't
Mhm.
know if you would agree with that, Kerry. Like, because really,
Most of my routines last year, most of my
yeah.
routines, you would look at them and not like say anything about it, but I would see the like the stumble or the something that I did wrong. But there's another thing just to add to this, is that like um don't don't stand there on stage saying, fuck, I got that wrong. Just pick
Yeah.
yourself up and get like and just get on with it. Smile. God, if you fall over, take a bow. Like I've tripped on stage before. Like, and yeah, you're always going to make mistakes no matter what level. You see anyone, like anyone and everyone is always working on their posing to improve,
Mhm.
because they've probably made a mistake in the past. And I think that's, again, that can come in waves. You might have a good and then not so good. Good. I've definitely done that throughout my last season. So I think that's something, yeah, important. But also from a speed perspective, practice your routine slow. Okay.
Yes,
You're
slow
told
it
you've got
down.
10 seconds or whatever. Don't. I always say to people, you've got 10 seconds. I want to see this slow, because I know the minute someone steps on stage, their heart rate is elevated, adrenaline, everything. You're going to be like my dad came and watched one of my shows as an amateur and said to me, Kerry, you ran on stage and ran off stage. The other girls didn't do that. And I was like, yeah, I practiced slow and just was like, yeah, you
I
have
mean,
10 seconds. Forget
everything goes out the window. Like, it doesn't
take
matter
the
how many
time.
times. I say this to all my girls, and if any of them watch this, which I know that they do because they're loyal supporters of the podcast, but they'll be sick of hearing this now. I'm like, we need a buffer. So when you practice at home, Everyone does it. It's all beautiful. And then as soon as you get on stage, it's a sensory overload. It's the music, the lights, the judges, the smell of the pro tan, the stage is hot. You know, you've got the whole like head to toe. You're like a walking chandelier because you've got all the jewelry, the hair, the makeup. Like it feels very, very different than when you're like in flats in the gym in a sports bra, hairs up. Do you know what I mean? So I think like in preparation for the shows, do your dress rehearsals, get the bikini on, don't leave it in the box, get the bikini on, get the jewelry on, do the hair, like all this stuff. Visualize, get yourself in the headspace where it is so predictable on stage that you're far less likely to have like that margin of error where everything feels different and it's a shock to the system. Because I think that is what will make people go on stage, like I say, and throw a Hail Mary, which, if you don't know what that means, it's like you just kind of throw anything in there. You do something that you've never done before when you've practiced. We see that a lot. And I think even if something does happen on stage that was like, perhaps you didn't see coming or like you do stumble. I've stumbled before and still won an overall. Like it's about how you recover in that moment. Like probably 90% of people didn't notice if you missed a wrong step.
No.
It's your ability to have good stage presence and like stage IQ to cover that up.
Yes, completely
That's
agree.
the most important thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I've
Okay.
got I've got a couple. One of them I want to ask you guys. The other one actually kind of links to what we spoke about before, which was social media. But hear me out. I think, yeah, I want to see more people document their journey, but this isn't content you're putting out. This is more the fact that, say, three, four, five, six shows later, that you achieve IP Pro Card. How important is that content, the videos you've documented on your first show when maybe you didn't get the result you wanted? Because surely that's important. If you were ever to put anything out, because we know when people turn IP Pro, they always like to be reflective of where they first started. Getting content, filming your stuff when you're at your highest is great, but the stuff when you're at your lowest is also equally important to show the relevance to your audience, to people that, you know what, it's not all rainbows of sunshine. Kerry's gone through it as well and try and get her pro card, try and get the Olympia ticket. So I would say, document within reason. It's not content that you're putting out on socials. It's more something that you keep yourself, that you can reflect to on your second show, your third show. But I guarantee that content will be useful in a year or 2 years later. The other one I want to ask you guys, girls, is people are how important is it to plan your schedule in advance in regards to shows that you're competing? The reason why I say that is I see some people have lined up their show, they know they do this regional and they aim for these pro qualifiers. But there are some people are saying, I'm going to do this regional and then I'm going to see what happens. But we know when you say what happens, then of course other things can happen because you're not focusing on the next week or next one. You eat too much or you do something where all of a sudden it puts you back in a few weeks. We know the majority of competitors have coaches where they should know the bikini criteria. They should know where you're at. You don't really require too much feedback from judges because that feedback is normally the same you hear from your coach anyway. So I'm keen to hear about your guys' opinion on should competitors plan their schedule in advance, or do you wait until your first show?
So I'm going to say plan in advance. I'm not going to laugh at that because I'm literally backstage.
Ironic.
I just had a vision of when I was backstage at one of the shows, the second show where I came second. And I didn't know like where I'd kind of come at that point, but the first thing I did was went backstage and I was looking at like shows. I can't remember which country it was, but everyone was telling me you can't go there. There's like a war. And I'm like catching flights. But anyway, I think like if you should always have those first like few shows. Like with my clients, I've got like mapped out timelines and we've got like obviously they can change like if things happen or whatever. But I've got like a set timeline of like what shows we're doing so we're prepared and whatever. But I think like when it comes to, if you do find yourself in like those top placings at, say, the pro qualifiers, then I think that's where it becomes a little bit more like you don't have. So I always preferred to go, right, okay, I'm doing that pro qualifier. I'm not looking past it. Then I get to that one. And same with like winning this, for example, like I would literally, like I just said, get off stage and start looking at flights. Get off stage, start looking at flights. It wasn't, I kind of knew what was there, but like I was just, I'm here for this show. So I think, yeah, having your shows like planned out, but like exactly the same for me. I've got my shows planned out. I want a 2026 Olympia qualification. I want to be able to apply for Arnold's, things like that. So I need to put myself in that position. If the shows don't go how I would like it to go, then you bet you're going to see me on that chase again. So then I can't tell you what shows I've got. But yeah, I do think you have to have some shows planned. You have to.
Yeah, I would agree with what Kerry said. To be honest, I would say I'm the same as you. Like, I've said this story quite a few times on various different podcasts, but like when I was in prep for the Ben Weeder, like Jake texted me one day, I think I was like 2 weeks out and I was in the gym and he was like, look, I know you don't want to have this conversation, but obviously it's my job to look at the schedule and see what other shows are around the Ben Weeder just in case that is not our show. And he was like, the Gasp Sweden show is like 2 weeks after. Like, we don't need to discuss it, but I just need a yes or a no if you'd be up for doing it, just in case. He was like, I will sort the travel and whatever. And I just replied saying, I'm not having this conversation with you.
Yeah.
He was like, I knew you were going to say that. But again, like, it's more so like Kerry said, it's being aware of what's in the calendar, like looking at the schedule from NPC News Online or whatever, knowing what countries are there and how easy it is to get there. But I think honestly, one of the biggest pieces of advice that I'll give to first timers is like, just get to the first frickin' show, honestly, because I've had girls come to me before and I'm like, okay, so like what's the kind of plan for this year? Like fill me in, let me know like what shows you want to do. And they'll say, well, we're going to do the regional, then we're going to do this show, then 2 weeks later we're going to do this show, then we're going to do this show, this show, this show. And it's like they've planned out a season of 5 or 6 shows. And I'm like, okay, that's amazing. Yes, I believe in you. We can do that if we want, but you've never been stage leading before and you have no idea how you are going to feel after the first or even second show.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know how it feels to be under the lights yet. And if you even enjoy being on the stage, because like that is why we do this really. So I think, yeah, being aware but not overwhelming yourself and not kind of overly committing to doing a lot of shows when you really do just kind of it's like you want that hybrid of like planning and being strategic, but also being adaptable and going with the flow of like your mind, your body. Like me and Kerry are different in that like she could ease and I think Mark's similar to me, where you could do way more shows in a row than we just laughed at it one time, didn't we, on the phone? And I was like, you are crazy how you can do that many shows. Because I would say for me, after 2 or 3 per season, I'm done. Like, I'm ready to like have a break then. And I
Can't
think
think of
that
anything
goes,
worse.
yeah, it goes full circle of like everybody's tolerance and like pain threshold and mental capacity to do that is going to be different. And you will only really learn that the more experienced that you become as an athlete by trial and error of like, maybe doing the extra show and then figuring out, okay, my physique actually looked better there. Or on the flip side, do you know what? I didn't look as good. I don't feel present at this show. The result wasn't as good. Now I know that to push it beyond that extra 4 weeks is not a good strategy for me in the future. Do you know what I mean?
So before we wrap it up, let's finish on one more, and I'm keen to get your girls' advice on this, and this is cost.
No.
Like people obviously sometimes when you are closing that pro card, you can justify the cost when you are traveling from one place to another. Once again, Kerry, you know all about it. But of course, at what point does cost need to be realistic to where you are placing so you don't put too much of a burden on yourself? Keep
So
this is the
yeah,
important bit, I think. a lot of people are going to relate to it because everybody wants to be able to compete internationally. There's
Yeah.
more opportunities than ever before for people to go to Spain, Sweden, Portugal to have that experience of international show. But when it's too much, especially if you're not getting the results that's warranting that cost.
I think that's where you need a bit of a outsider opinion sometimes as well, with regards to like your coach. Like I would definitely be open and honest. If I had someone that was going first, like my pro card, for example, there's people like, why is she still chasing it? Because she's literally coming second in every overall. That's why, like, and it was like on the cusp of it, you know? But if it's like you're just like fifth and sixth and you're not that far, or even sometimes like third and like it sometimes you've got to like be real and like say, am I ready for this season, or is this going to be a lot of money for, yes, some amazing experiences, but it could essentially, it is very expensive like to compete.
Yeah.
Probably must be something like 20, I want to say around 20K last year. Just
I was going to say, so I mean, just
win £2,000.
on a for an amateur show, what costs are people need to have in mind if they are going out a couple of days beforehand and then maybe staying there like a day afterwards? What is that? What is that figure looking like?
It,
You
I mean,
add everything in.
it depends where you go, but if you're talking about someone that doesn't have any sponsors, doesn't have a bikini
Yep.
sponsor, doesn't have tanning, doesn't have supplement, whatever, let's say you want to have a ballpark of like, say, £300 for your return flight. So there's 300 quid. You're going to be paying maybe, I don't know, €150 for a tan if you're competing in Europe and you don't do your own tan. Makeup as well, if you're going to pay for that. I don't know how much makeup costs in Europe, but I know in the States, if you go with like the best of the best, V, the makeup artist, we pay what, £600 for hair and makeup for one show? Yeah. This is the realities of competing as a pro. People do not understand, like, it is you've got to love this. You've got to like really want it to warrant that. Because again, it's saying it's a cost versus an expense versus an investment. That's it. Do you know what I mean? Like you want,
So on the average amateur competitor, that's going to more likely we see a lot of UK amateur competitors they'll end up going to do a show in Spain because they
yeah,
want to do an Emilio show. So if we're looking at that perspective, are we looking at a ballpark figure of maybe like 2 grand that
yeah.
show will cost
I was
you?
going to say, yeah, definitely a couple of grand to be
Because if you're in
realistic.
for like,
You've
say,
got
if
your
you're in for
food,
gym
you've got to
pass,
buy
food shop, gym pass,
taxis.
accommodation, taxis, if you don't, or hire a car, your flight, it depends where you go again. Like, I don't know if you need to pay for a visa for Spain. I don't think you do, but that's another thing to consider depending on where you go in Europe because different countries are going to have like different rules. Tan, makeup, if you pay for the media, if you pay for stage videos and pictures, the
Yeah.
4K, they are not cheap. So
Mhm.
that's another thing. You like, of course, you're going to want to go to the show and have the videos and pictures to show for it when you get back. So there's that. Then, just any little extras that you buy as well. Like if you take a spare pair of heels, the bikinis cost like what, £500 per suit. So say you got a bikini and then a spare, there's £1,000 for the season already. So
There's
yeah,
things you can do obviously to like make it cheaper. I think Compaq is quite resourceful for things
yeah,
like they've got quite a few like blog posts and forum stuff and whatever. Um, and obviously you can, there are people like Danielle Spencer who do makeup tutorials. You can get your own pro tan. As an amateur, I did quite a lot of my own tanning actually with pro tan, and that
I
was
did
fine.
the
But
pro.
I've not yet done it as a pro. I don't know why. Like back then I used to do it all the time, and now I just like feel like it would be a stress to me.
Rotan DIY is like heaven. Oh my God. Yeah, I will probably never go back to being sprayed.
But I must
I'm
say,
retired.
on a different note, I think I might actually try one of my shows doing it myself this year because gross, but like I sweat quite a lot. And I think having the tan like thick set on you and not washing it off then having another layer, I think that makes that situation worse. So I want to trial it this year where I like base coat it, shower, base coat, shower, base coat, like,
It
and
goes on
build it up and
differently.
see if it makes a difference to like how my skin is. Because honestly, backstage, if you see me, I'm literally like arms up all the time. They're fixing my, like, I don't know what it is. It depends where I'm at on my cycle as well. But yeah, that's something I'm interested to see.
I
So
think it goes on your skin differently though when you've like actually buffed it in and put it on with pressure versus the spray gun. But I mean, I think personally, again, maybe for your first show, don't do that because you're stepping into the unknown. But for the girls that are maybe like going for the pro cards, maybe they're competing abroad, you know, you won't be able to take your tan in your hand luggage because it's a liquid, so you'll have to put it in the checks in the hold. But it is a really good way to like avoid kind of going backwards and forwards in a hot country, getting taxis to the venue, to the tanning. Like you can just do it in the comfort of your hotel room or your Airbnb.
yeah,
Dry off, you're not on anybody else's time schedule.
Yeah, and I think on the other side as well, look, we know cost perspective is very high when you are competing internationally. And if there is the opportunity where you are doing it with another person, maybe it's someone on your coaching team where you are staying in the same hotel room and you're in the same category, therefore you can travel together to the venue, that does eliminate some cost. But there's always that perspective where you've got to look at, is your placings warranting you to compete internationally to get that goal? If you're competing internationally, I always like to think that you are on the cusp of either winning your class or you're actually pushing for that pro card.
gotta
Otherwise,
be realistic. Gotta be realistic and have someone in your space that your coach is going to be realistic with you. And I think that's, yeah, something that is very important.
so seek advice. Seek advice. Seek, talk to people who have competed internationally, whether as an amateur or pro. Understand what you're getting yourself into on a cost perspective, because the cost, I guess, doesn't just impact yourself. It can also impact if you have a partner or who are you with. They also might need to make a sacrifice. They may also need to travel with you as well if you want them to enjoy that moment. You're doubling the cost or straight away.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna, just as like one final really important take home message for everyone, the word cost is, yeah, financial, what we've just spoke about there, but like pursuing this goal comes with a cost. At some point, it's going to be money, your mentality, your mental health, just physical, whatever. So, like, if you are pushing, be realistic. That doesn't mean don't have big goals and dreams. That's something that I really, really want to hammer home. Like, we are not saying don't dream big and play small. We are definitely not saying that, are we? Because look at us, we dream big and we pushed and we went to these amazing shows and we've done amazing things. But I think again, if you get to a point in your season this year where like it is a bit of a struggle and you could keep going, but maybe it's going to come as a detriment and a cost financially, mentally, and you are going to be worse off for it. That's when you've got to like be honest with yourself and like, look, it's cliche, but the stage is always going to be there. Like, if anybody's listening where like it doesn't happen for them now, that's okay. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a complete no. It might just mean it's a not yet. And
Exactly.
there's going to be other shows. I've had girls where they've competed at the start of the season and then they've decided to come back at the end of the year. You know, they've taken a few months off, recoup the finances, the mindset, everything, and then they go again and like and then they have a better season or a better show.
So we'll just wrap up there because the show's coming up this weekend. Next week we're gonna look back at the bikini class winners over at Two Bros. We're gonna catch up with Charlotte Ellis, who'll be over at Taiwan. Fingers crossed she could be joining Kerry over at the Olympia.
Yes.
Because yeah, every week shows are happening, regional and also international. We're gonna cover everything. So yeah, guys, hope some of this advice has been useful. Best of luck if you are competing this weekend.